This is Karen with NewClevelandRadio.net. And today I have an interesting gentleman with us. His name actually is Chris Nurthen. But you know what? We don't want to call him that. We want to call him Sweetnur. Wow, what a name. And Sweetnur is now you're on a Army base, naval base. Where
I'm on a naval base in Memphis, Tennessee, a town called Millington.
Okay. So wait a second. Naval base in Memphis, Tennessee. There's no ocean.
No.
So why is there a naval base in Memphis, Tennessee?
Well, it used to be a huge airstrip. It used to be a aviation kind of base, and they've since kind of relocated that area of it. But now it is just the Navy's kind of like administration personnel command. So we kind of handle people's careers and out processing and in processing and stuff. So it's kind of like the paper pushers of the Navy.
Okay. Well, first of all, we want to thank you for your service and everybody there on the base as well. Some of us just don't have it in us. We want to protect our country, but we're chickens just like me. So when somebody is willing to help us out, we need to thank them. But that's not why you're on today. You're on because you have some new music coming out, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So tell us a little bit about how you got into music and how the music got you to the Navy.
Wow, that's a good question. I've always been a big fan of music, had a family that was a big supporter of the arts, and we always had music playing and whatnot in the household, and we were all theater folks growing up, and we just were encouraged to explore the creative side in us. Started writing songs in high school, and then I was a football player, so I did have an opportunity to play football at the Naval Academy. And at the time, I did have this conviction that I was going to be in the music business, but in high school, obviously, I had no idea how to do that or whatever. I just figured after college, I'll do that. So the best opportunity I had was the Naval Academy. I took that and just figured I'll keep writing. You know how I had an ignorance about me in high school, like it'll all work out, which it will. But so anyways, went to the Naval Academy to play football, and my brother was there as well, a couple of years ahead of me. So it just was a great setup for us, and it was close to home. I'm originally from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So it was a good location for us and great. The football seasons became a great family cornerstone of memories for us and extended family and whatnot. Commissioned in 2015, and then started my naval career on warships. I did a couple sea tours. And in 2020, I reached my commitment that I needed to do and stuck to the plan. I had found my wife during that time. We had some kids and some things had changed, but I certainly thought I'd still become a songwriter and a singer-songwriter. So now it was the time with my training as a professional in the Navy. I was going to take the same principles and make a training phase and immerse myself in the music industry. And that's where we've been now from 2020 to time now. So we left Norfolk, Virginia, where we were stationed, and packed up the kids and moved to Memphis, where my wife was born and raised. And it was a good place for us. We had a lot of family here, a lot of support here, and we were close enough to Nashville where, it just was a good place to launch. And not
Absolutely.
So just try to build a strategy, and it's always music in the military has obviously just been intertwined for me the last 10 years. And now we're trying to make it more heavier on the music side.
Well, what is quite interesting is many of us have a passion for the arts of one way or the other. And sometimes we're not encouraged by those around us to pursue it. So we fiddle with the music a little bit. Maybe in high school and college, you had an opportunity. But if you don't have that support, sometimes it's like, okay, I'm just going to give up.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm grateful that you didn't, because I can tell by the smile on your face, music is one of your big loves, and you did say you're married, you did say you have kids, but I think maybe what helps you through family life too is writing the music and performing. Am I right or wrong?
You're on the money. I think what's cool about music and songwriting is I think we have a chance to make a living doing it for sure. But if we don't, it's kind of like my diary. And at the end of the day, it's just something my kids can hold on forever and they can pass on to their kids. And I love that they're hearing my voice and my heart and mind in my 20s, when all I know is my parents 40, as I grew up. And so you're absolutely right that I have an enormous adoration for music, but it's the same amount of adoration for my family. And I'm just determined to make it work together. And, if I was starting a business, I don't know, I'm starting a business right now with music, and I would be starting a business no matter what, just being entrepreneurially minded. And again, the training I was given as a military officer just makes you self-sufficient, makes you want to go and do your own thing. And I just am determined to do it in what I love to do and not just, in some other living.
Well, and one of the things that I think our listeners can take from this is that you didn't just give up your day job to do your music. And many of them out there, and I'm talking about highly known professionals that have been in the music industry, many of them had side jobs. They
Mhm.
had their 9 to 5 jobs, but we didn't know about it because we went, we saw them on stage, and we thought everybody lives this glorious life.
Mhm.
And yet, to live the glorious life in some cases, you do have to have a daily job. And if your music makes it really, really big, then maybe the money will, be sufficient. But I love the fact that you have other connections to your life. So when you're writing your music, where do your ideas come from?
Well, certainly as a Sweetnur persona, like my artist project, it's very personal. The music is real time. I consider myself very observational, and I think most songwriters are. I think we just see everything as a song. And I was fortunate enough to get married and have a family and kind of go on this journey of struggle. And I mean, like, not necessarily, we weren't fighting to pay the bills, but we were struggling through real love and real relationships and real sacrifices. And then time away, I was, deployed a lot, and there was just a lot of goodbyes, and there just was a lot of emotional pain there.
Sure.
And as a songwriter, we feel that. We're empathetic people. And what I'm getting at is I typically write what's happening in my life. And we have a series of EPs coming out that is all concept driven. And one's an EP series of fatherhood, another one's of love stories in our relationship, another one's sea stories, and another one is spiritual EP. And all of it has to do with me trying to categorize this like huge catalog I've been writing for 10 years, because I couldn't put it into an album. It's because I just was writing stuff that was all over the place. And so now we're trying to, put it into different feelings and stages of our lives. And but that's kind of how I write. That's how it comes to me. And just in real time. And then luckily it comes to me in a melody or it comes to me in a hook. And if I just have like a radar, and if it starts beeping, it's like, yeah, that's money. I gotta work on that one. And then we just go to town.
What I have learned in the last 10 years about music, sort of in the beginning shocked me. So my one brother is a music producer, and I always thought people just came into the studio, they performed, he did a little bit of his magic, and then, hey, that was great. Never thought about what it took to get into the studio.
Mm,
And when my youngest son was 13, um, had been performing at school, and he went to his uncle and he said, "I know you're putting together an album for the holidays. I want to be part of it."
cool.
And we went to my brother's studio, and my son sang on the EP,
Very
and
cool.
he got the bug.
Oh
And then
yeah.
all of a sudden he started writing. Now my son doesn't play an instrument. Okay. Do you play an instrument?
I do. I play guitar and I sing.
Okay. So
Mhm.
that sort of helps you a little bit, but
Certainly.
he would hear a sound in his head. He would then hum it into either a recorder or on his phone, and he'd send that to his uncle and say, "This is the concept I want. Here are the words. And if you want to help me tweak them, that's okay." In some of those songs, now I said he was about 13 at the time. He's 32 now.
Holy
And now
moly.
he's working on finally recording this music. And I've said to him, wait a second, you've written all that music? And he goes, yeah. He said, but you know what? It wasn't really, it was okay when I was 13. At 15, it was a little bit better. At 20, I hated it. And he goes through this whole thing. And I said, but how do performers get out there, write their music, and it, does it take them 10 years? And he goes, sometimes yes.
Mhm.
And I've been finding so many individuals like yourself have said the same thing. And it's usually things that you experience in life or you
Mhm.
see other people around you experiencing.
Yes.
So when you wrote about love, obviously this includes your wife, your family members. How did they feel when they heard the music and thought, oh, he's singing about me?
It's a good question. I've never been never been asked that before, but, a lot of my songs are about my wife and, my kids. I'll say, put it this way, when it's about my wife, she is honored and loves the music, but she's not like, she's kinda like, like, she just doesn't, I don't know, she doesn't think much of it in a good way, not like, she's very great champion of us, but, my kids, on the other hand, if I tell them this song's about them, they wanna hear it 100 times, like, "What part's about me? What part's about?" And, so it's just funny, the different responses, and we do, a lot of people come up to my wife, and they're like, "Oh, I can't believe you get so many songs written about you. You must be so nice." And Carrie's kinda like, "Well, I mean, yeah," but it's funny you bring that up because, I just recently read John Denver's Autobiography, and he struggled with that. Like, I remember he, was such a songwriter, obviously, but his first wife, they loved each other, but, like, he would speak his apologies, he would speak his love to her through song, and she just wasn't very receptive of it in the way he was receptive of it. So, like, basically, they weren't speaking the same languages,
Right.
and I think that was such an important lesson because you can do that as an artist, like, you just assume people are gonna hear how you hear it and think that, that she's gonna love this song, and they do, but they might not. You have to, speak their language still. So, like,
Absolutely.
my wife totally appreciates songs about her, and it means the world to me when she does really speak the same language, but sometimes she doesn't. Sometimes it's just like, I gotta give her affection in her language.
Right. Exactly. But I love the idea that uh, so many songwriters really dig deep into their soul
Mm,
to put those words on paper and then to take them from words, putting a soundtrack with it, and then being able to perform it. Because, I mean, those are three separate styles that you have to have that artistic value
yes,
for.
it's so true. I have always obviously loved music, but such a deeper appreciation for the process now, 2 years into doing it. Like your son, I would 2020, I had a list of songs, like, half demo, and I'm like, "These things are gonna be on Spotify in 2 months, let's go." Thank the Lord, I was pushed in different directions where they didn't, because they were terrible, or, like, there were so many more moments and progressions that need to get happen in those songs that I wouldn't have known unless I had a team around me, like your brother and your son's uncle, but same thing with me. And not only that, in the recording, like, the whole magic of recording a song is so different from the whole magic of playing it with a group live on stage. Two very different skill sets and both equally hard. So, like, man, have I been humbled trying to be an artist, trying to be a singer and a songwriter, because all of them take enormous, the people that just make it look very easy. There's just too much talent out there. They may go up there and they sound so great. And I've set such an appreciation for live sound. Like, I'm so afraid to sing into a microphone. I hate singing into a microphone. I grew up playing in living rooms, so, like, I can recognize acoustic sounds better. And I'm, like, so challenged by that. And other people are naturally singing to microphones. So just stuff like that. You're so right. It's so hard. And there's no secret. It's just, you got to grind at it and get reps and get better and better.
So all these songs that are they're going to be out on single EPs. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So do you have a favorite?
No, I really don't. I love the music, and I think it's because I made it, it's mine, and I have to remember that I love it. and I know this is a tricky part when I start releasing stuff and maybe it doesn't pick up like I wanted it to. Doesn't matter. I think they're great. But I do think they've been tested and validated by people they are going to be given a great general response. But no, I have songs to get really excited about. And then I don't know, each one of them has been so good. I guess to say the process has gone so well and they've been brought to life so well. I get very excited about them. And then like once we finish it, I hear it 100 times and then I kind of get numb to it and I get excited about the next one. That's what's so fun. I have so much, work ahead of me that is going to keep me musically employed because I just get excited. But no, I don't have a favorite. They all have their own concepts and their own themes that I think are really well done. I'm excited for them.
And that's exciting to hear because too often what I've heard other artists tell me is, oh yeah, my favorite one is going to be the fourth one we release. And then it's like, well, what's wrong with 1, 2, and 3?
Yeah.
And they'll say, oh no, they're good, but my favorite.
Yeah.
And it's okay. Everybody looks at their work differently. I mean, it's like, we do about 20 different podcasts from here. And if anybody were to say, which is your favorite podcast? Wow, that's sort of hard because they're all a little bit different. And there's a different form of energy for each one of them.
Absolutely.
So I understand what you're saying there.
Yeah.
But you also brought up another point that, you hope that when they're released, they will get a good response. What our listeners need to understand is that today, the music industry is totally different than it was before.
Mhm.
I know you have a PR firm behind you, and that's great. But people only listen to what they want to listen to. And
Mhm.
sometimes they'll look at something and go, I've never heard of that person, never heard of that group. No, I'm going to go on to something that I know. And one of the things that I've been doing for the last 10 years is not looking at the Beatles and the Rolling Stones, and as great as all they are, okay?
Sure.
And I grew up with all that. But now I'm looking at who are the local people who are making great music. And I
Mhm.
don't just mean local in the Cleveland area, the local people in Tennessee, the local people even in California with all the big stars. Being local and performing acoustically or
Yeah.
in your neighborhood bar it's amazing.
Mhm.
And so I encourage everyone, go out and listen to live music and listen to it on all the streaming methods that we have as well.
Certainly. Yeah. I'm so thankful that people like you are out there. You have a platform to be a champion of people like me. And you're so right. I think it's hard. People are creatures of habit. And like I said earlier, we're starting a business here. And if you really wear that business hat, you got to think about marketing. How are you going to get into people's ears and stay there? And that's a story. And your songs, your product's got to be good, like at the end of the day. And so it's a struggle. And I'm grateful again to have my background to allow me just, I don't know, the stamina and the maturity to look at those things. But yeah, you think of the younger artists, the people who don't understand the game and the orchestration behind things that just get burned out, or they don't think music's good because they're not getting a response, not just because no one has heard it. It's just a tough business because you're artists and other businesses can fail. But if your songwriting fails, it's like, it's a deep cut, it's like, but I wrote that. So like, why don't, it's personal, so.
Well, something else that you may want to keep in mind, and anybody else out there pursuing in the arts, it begins with your love for it. Okay.
Mhm.
We all don't love the same thing. And yet, if you love it and you can project it, um, it will be successful. And I'm not counting success in how many hits you're going to get, how many EPs you're going to sell, because we all know there are those individuals who are just going to find to get that EP for free somehow or another.
Mhm.
And you know what? I always say on this show, please, everybody, pay your fair share, because during the pandemic, individuals like you really got hurt.
Mhm.
Unless you were doing a Zoom concert or a concert on Facebook and people were putting money in the tip jar,
Yeah.
it was a dry 2 years. And so those of us who enjoy the music, we need to come back out and say, "Hey, we're gonna help support you." And
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be huge dollars that we're paying out.
Mm-mm.
So even though you don't have a favorite on the EPs, let's go with this. Which is the first one that is gonna hit?
Well, I believe it'll be Love Stories, only because I think that is the closest one to completion, and very excited about it because I think I have not yet kind of put a pin in my genre. I think I'm all over the place, and I want to stay that way because I'm just trying to see what catches. But there's a little bit of everything on there. There's a great folk sound, and there's a great alternative pop sounds, and there's um, acoustic sounds that I just think are cool. And I'm excited that there's a major variation, and I think the messages in each song are strong. Like a lot of it has to do with, again, the pain, going out of your comfort zone, and how that stresses a marriage and stresses a relationship. Others about the first time, I told my wife I loved her, and like that moment of, we're doing it. I'm committed to this, and stuff like that. And I think they're very relatable messages, and I think I'm proud of how we portrayed them. And then on top of that, I think we have a team here that has just made the song great. Like we got great moments in there, great musicians, great, that's what's so cool. It's just magical when you build something. And so, yeah, I think Love Stories will be the first. And I'm intending to have every couple of months the next EP come out. And so I think Fatherhood will be after that one, and then maybe Sea Stories, just thinking about which one's closest to being done. But I hope that answers your question.
It absolutely does. Now, are you performing live in Tennessee right now?
We are. We do. I have some goals to get on some really big stages in the next year. It's one of my goals in Memphis. I mean, we played some pretty cool, awesome spots here in the local area. The Hernando's Hideaway is a great spot. Anybody coming in your Cleveland audience that's coming to Memphis, go see a show at Hernando's. It's an old Elvis hangout. It's right by Elvis's house, and he's played there. And Johnny Cash has played there. Jerry Lee Lewis, really cool. And we played there. And Lafayette's is a great music room here that has had some great artists come through. We got to play. But the thing we really do, our bread and butter, is our house shows. We have a food truck, my wife and I. It's really a trailer that's like can play a food truck, and we serve up food at people's homes, and we perform inside their living room or their backyard. And that's kind of how we built an audience personally. So we need to get into the in more of the the live scene here, but we've had such a great response, and it's been working for us to go house shows for other reasons too. Like it's an experience different from going to
Right.
Hernando's Hideaway, and it's intimate, it's personal. My brand is right in front of you. You're getting me, you're getting my family, you're getting the bootstrap vibe that we're going here. And so that's been fun. But we are playing the Delta Fair, which is a pretty huge fair here in the I would say like the greater Mid-South area. We're going to play there in September, which we're excited about. Otherwise, I'm trying to gear up for a good season of house shows in the next year. Trying to take it on tour. We want to take it up the East Coast back to where I'm in my hometown of Philly, and we had a great community in Virginia Beach where we lived, the Norfolk area. And so, yes, we're playing live a lot, but in a different way.
Well, house concerts are fantastic.
They are fun.
And I think you have the great mix, having a food truck
Mhm.
combined with a house concert. And if those of you who don't know what a house concert is, because up until about 4 years ago, I had no idea this was
Mhm.
even happening, but you bring performers into your home, and you and your friends can listen to them in the comfort of your living room or family room, wherever it is. And usually you all chip in to make sure that performer gets paid for the evening, and you all just have a good time. It's
Yeah,
sometimes a lot better than being at a big concert hall.
it really is.
Yeah.
I obviously want to play the big concert halls, but I'm sure you're the same. I'm really picky about where I go now to go see performers because I care about the performance, and it's tough, in the bigger places where you're just not going to you're there for a different reason. You're not there for that performance. You're there for the good time. But
Right.
A house show is just everybody's in there. You're just in it together, and you're there in the journey of the artist, and it's storytelling. It's cool. It's really cool. And I think you can't. I don't think you can I think you can build a career off it personally, and we're going to try to, but I do know you have to go to the gatekeepers at some point
Sure.
into that circuit. But this is a great way to build content. It's a great way. Again, I think when you leave a show like a Sweetnur house show, you're like, whoa, so like the music is pretty good. The band is great. Hopefully they're liking the performer. The food was amazing. We've had an iron pie for the first time. That was awesome. Like, wow, met the guy's wife. This was so cool. That house was so cool. And like you walk away just all sorts of feels that you don't just get going to a rock club.
Absolutely.
And hopefully like you remember me forever. Like maybe my name comes up later and you're like, I saw that guy. Oh my God. And it just you a little more deeper followership there is the idea.
So how did you come up with the name Sweetnur?
Well, my last name is spelled Nurthen. And in college, my brother and I both were kind of the Nurs, like just was a shortened, abbreviated name. And like I was Lil Nur, he was Big Nur. And as I started to play guitar in the locker room and stuff, I just kind of evolved into Sweetnur. I don't know
I
how,
love it.
but it just kind of became the nickname. And then as my wife and I just started like in some farmers markets with our little iron pie stand, I just kind of saw Sweetnur as a great brand name for the music. We always had music in mind, and we always had, we hoped this would be like the name that ties everything together. The house shows, the food truck, the musician, the art, the publishing, whatever it is, it falls under Sweetnur Music and Sweetnur. So
That's wonderful. So you mentioned your children. How old are they?
I have a 4-year-old daughter named Josie, and I have a 2-year-old son named Loudon. And we have an 8-month-old Gwen. So we got our hands full.
You definitely have your hands full. And do they try to perform with you?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I have a little office that get my work done. I got microphones set up. I also coach some young students in vocals and everything. So they get to see it firsthand, and band practices at our house. So my kids are always hopping. I got a drum set in there, and my son, he needs somewhere to bang. He needs to bang stuff. And so we given him some drumsticks, and I do think he's a naturally gifted drummer. I'll be a little biased. And then Josephine is just a total performer. She loves to get on the microphone, and we're huge fans of Sing and Sing 2. I don't know if you've seen those movies.
Yep.
But they're the soundtrack of our house right now, and our kids are just, singing away. So they love to perform. They love music, and I am excited. I do think, we'll encourage it. And I certainly think they'll have opportunities to get better at that stuff, become performers of their own.
That is wonderful. So how can our listeners find you? Do you have a website? Do you have someplace special we can send them?
Yeah. On social media is all at Sweetnur Music. And again, that's SWEETNUR Music. And then you can go to sweetnurmusic.com. Again, just Sweetnur Music is what you need to have in your head. I think if you Google it, I think we have enough traction that it'll pop up. But that's pretty much it. I think it'll take you to everywhere you need to go. We're just on Instagram, Facebook, and the website. And we have some press clippings like this up there and the stories up there. So I think between those 3 things, you'll get what you need.
That is absolutely wonderful. Well, we hope you'll get to Cleveland someday soon. That would be wonderful. And I'm not talking Cleveland, Tennessee. I'm talking about Cleveland, Ohio.
Hey, I'll let you know when I'm coming for sure.
I
If you
would.
can get us a house show, we'll come up there. We can talk.
Hey, it's funny. This morning I had an appointment, and as I was driving home, I kept thinking, the summer is almost over, and we live in a condo development. And every year I've thought, boy, we should have, a house concert out in the middle of our island. And driving home today, I thought, what a great idea. And then I called my husband and said something, and he said, how many more ideas are you going to throw at me? But you know what? I think it would be a lot of fun. So any of you listening out there, and especially in Tennessee, get through to Chris and have a house concert in your backyard,
Yeah.
in your living room, wherever it works.
And I'll just accidentally plug that, but yeah, we not only we won house shows, we've teamed up with other artists in the indie artists in Memphis, and we put on house shows. We produced a bunch of them. We got the means to do it, and we absolutely want to build a community that's already, Memphis music community is very strong, and so we're always bringing in people to do more shows. So yeah, if you're listening, come on.
Sounds wonderful. Well, thank you for joining us, and we'll make sure that everybody can get all your information. Will be in the show notes, and
Awesome.
we look forward to the release of your music.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure
you.
talking to you.
Take care now.
All
Bye-bye.
right. See ya.